Hello everyone, welcome back. So in our last video, we talked about the Excel file where we just saw how to read the data from the Excel site. So we created a separate class for that, and accordingly we just executed or just refreshed the data in that Excel file. Now here what we are going to do is we are going to see how to read data from Excel sheet to log into website. Now, usually what we do, we pass the values manually. And in case if we have to test another test case or if we have to change the values, then we have to come back to code and do the changes. Now, just to avoid this part, what we are doing, we are bringing Excel sheet into use. So the username and passwords, all we are putting in that Excel sheets, and accordingly we are executing the program. Now, as you know that here basically what we are going to do is we are going to perform login. Now let's first go through the test cases that basically we need to execute, and how this Excel sheet will help us, we'll see that as well. So here as you see, if the test cases for login is like log in the website with correct credentials, log in the website with wrong email and correct password, log in the website with correct email and wrong password, log in the website with empty input fields. Now you see we have four different test cases and four different scenario. Now if we start writing codes for every case one by one, then we'll face a problem like every time we have to go write the complete code, send some different value, and then do it the complete thing. Now, if we put all these four values in one Excel sheet and then we try to execute, so it means that we are writing one test case and we are applying four different scenarios. So this is the requirement. Writing one test case is applying four different scenarios. So in this particular website, like this is the website that we are going to test. It's a e-commerce website. And if you see this test manually, we create on this image. Here we enter the email address. Then we enter the password, sign in, and at the end, log out. Go again, click the image and log out. So this is the process. For this, we need to create a separate Excel sheet. So I already have created one Excel sheet for this test case. So the Excel sheet for this is like I'll be referring to this Excel sheet. Yeah. So here I've taken a proper username, proper password, and I'll make it as same username, a different email address, and same password. So just I'm testing two scenarios. In your case, you can test 4 or 5 as you want. So here I'm just doing code for these two scenarios, and the requirement is clear. And what exactly we are going to do, I hope that's also clear. Now, just to achieve this process, to do this, we need a concept called, basically, it goes with a data-driven concept. So data-driven test, basically, it will read data from the data storage, for example, from a file or database, rather than use hard-coded values. That's what I said. Instead of passing the values manually, it's like take it from some particular file. Such as separations make test logically simple. Now, a test containing several steps of hard-coded values can rather be difficult to modify and maintain. So that's the problem. So that's why we come for this data-driven testing. Now, the scenario was one test case and applying multiple scenarios. So data provider, basically this is one of the keyword. Data provider feature is a part of data-driven testing, where in its provided where it provides different values to test cases in a single execution. It means you can run a single test case once, but can execute a method with different data values. So to apply or to achieve these things, whatever the requirement I was talking about, to achieve this, we need this data providers. So data provider is a concept in TestNG that we are going to use here. So to read the data from the Excel sheet, we'll see the data provider. Now in this example, I'm just using this concept of data provider. So it's only for the login process. So it doesn't mean that only we are going to use it for the login. You can use it in any case you want. Just here in this example, what exactly you'll understand is how we are using it, how we are applying this. That's all you will understand and nothing else. That's what we understand. So if you come across maybe in search code, product, you are applying data providers there, then there you can apply the same thing. So I'm just picking one of the test case, one scenario, and I'm just showing you how it exactly works. Now, I'm going to write the test cases, and I'm going to create like classes for different pages. Right now I'm doing for the login page, but we are creating these frameworks. It's for basically this frameworks, how it makes it different. So here we'll see that this frameworks is all about page object model. Now already I've explained this thing in my introduction videos, so you can watch that. Now I'm just talking about this concept, page object model concept. So basically the page object model, or POM, is a design pattern or a frameworks that we use in Selenium, using which one can create an object repository of different web element across the application. Now I'll come to this definition back. Before that, I'll talk about a class that's page factory. Now, Page Factory is a class provided by Selenium WebDriver to support page object design pattern. So the page object design pattern, what I'm talking about, that's supportable using Page Factory class. So Page Factory is a class that's provided by Selenium by default, and we use that particular class to execute the process. And that when we are using Page Factory, basically we are creating the page object design. Now in Page Factory, tester use at find by annotation. So we call it as find by annotation. So in Page Factory, we have annotation that's find by, and also we have a method that is init element method that's used to initialize web element. Initialize the web element means usually when we write code, when we try to store values in web, store the values of web elements, we use the assignment operator. That's the equals to sign. We use that, but here init element will be used for assigning the values. Now, these points, whatever points I'm talking about, we'll see this practically. So keep these points in mind, stay connected, and you'll get an idea of this. So don't miss the track here. So here, page object model is a design pattern. So basically, this is achieved using page factory class. That means for every page that you are going to create a class for every page, you are going to create a separate class. And for every class, or in every class, you are going to use this page factory. That's one thing. That's the very first thing. Again, if you're using page factory, that means you have got the permission to use find by annotation. That's the second thing. Now, if you want to initialize values to the element, so for every element, you are going to create separate object. And to initialize value to this object, you need init element method. That's the third step. So these three things you have to keep in mind. Now the thing is that these values will stay throughout the class. That will, because we are defining the elements in different lines. So these needs to stay throughout the class. So we'll put it inside the constructor. That we'll see practically. Now why we are doing these things? Why we are creating objects for every cases, for every scenario? Why we are doing this? That's always a question in mind. It's because that to simplify the page object model, we create class file for each page. The class file contents of different web elements present away on the web page. Moreover, the test script that we use these elements to perform different actions. Since each page web element, this is the answer to that why question. Since each page's web elements are in separate class file, the code becomes easy to maintain and reduce code duplicity. Now, if this is asked in interview, you can easily reply. So that's why question. Why that why point is because of this. Trying to indicate that for each pages we do create web elements and it's separate class because code becomes easy to maintain and reduce code duplicity. That means every time duplication, we don't need to write the same thing again and again. So that's the small story of page object. How to create this page object model. You have that class also available, everything available. Now we will try this thing in real time. You'll get a proper idea. So let's go for the code. This was the theoretical part. This was the explanatory part. Now just grab all the things at one and let's apply it in real time. So for this is the first time we are writing the test cases. So in this case, I will help you with each and every steps. Each and every steps means that I'll help you to create a basically inspect elements, how we are doing everything. I'll show you. So it will be just follow step by step. So first, the very first thing what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a constructor for this class. Now it's quite clear that why I'm creating a constructor, because this page factory the init element, this I will define it inside the constructor, so that if you want, this thing will be available throughout the class, so you can use it anywhere in the class. At any point in the code you can use this thing. That's why we will use the constructor. Now one more thing, the driver details are always available in the base class. And it's quite obvious that if any class is trying to use the base, like if we are writing a test cases, obviously you will take the driver details. So it means that when you're calling the constructor of this class, or in case if you call the constructor of this class, then in that case, the first information that you will pass is the driver information. So that's needed here. Now the driver information that comes, I will store it in different object that will be for this particular class. So I write this dot driver is equals to L driver. The step is clear. Now we will use page factory class. So this is the page factory class that's available in Selenium, and along with it comes the init element. So inside this init element, I'll pass the driver. Now I'm passing this driver because init element is used for assigning. So this driver will be available for every object or for every elements. Now this is the constructor. I put the informations inside the constructor. Now what I have to do? Now I have to locate each and every element one by one. So this is the website. I'll start locating every element one by one. So first, this is the image. So I do right click, I do inspect. I do go here, right click, go to copy. From copy, I go to copy XPath. That's all. Now here, right, find by. That's the method. Again, use the XPath. Paste the XPath. Now define the element. So name it as web element. Sorry, make it web element. That's the class. And make it web element. Name it as log image. Now import this web element as well. Oh, that's the spelling mistake. What's happening? Change this to caps. Fine. Now import this web element as well. Now next thing, again import this find by as well. Now the next step, again I'll write find by. So the next step is I'll import this, inspect this email. So I go to this email box, I do inspect. Now I'm into email. So this time I'll take ID from here. So I write at find by and just pass over here XPath. Sorry, this time I'll pass ID, and in ID I'll pass the value, that's the ID, and again create an element for this web element class, email. Now again find by. Now this time again ID I'll take for password. So for password, inspect and take this password, put it here, and right here web element. Sorry, again I'm doing the same mistake every time. Web element, and this time give the name as password. And the last one is for sign in button. So I write find by, and this time for button, so go right click here, do inspect, and write ID is equals to, and write web element and make it as submit button. That's all. So I've located all three elements. Now here itself, I'll create a method and I'll name it as port I'll make it as portal login. And in this method, we'll need two values, the username and second one, the password. So every time when the value is passed, so these two informations should be passed to this methods. So when you're calling this method, these two informations should be passed. First, I'll click the log image and I'll do click. Second thing, what I'm going to do here, I'm going to write in this email, we are going to send the values. So we'll send the username. Next, in pass, we'll send the values in which we'll send the password. And last, we'll write click method to click. So now this login page is ready. Now for this login, now we are going to create, already we have a class login test here. Now if we do manually, just we'll pass the username and password and this will work fine. But the thing is here, I'm reading the Excel file. This is important. It's very important to understand the logic that you are going to write. This is my Excel file. Now, if I start asking you the reading of, or I say the indexes, the location of every Excel file, so it will be the locations. If I ask you that at which particular location this particular word is, so if I ask you the indexes of this, so based on rows and columns, this will be 1, 0. That's first row and 0th column. That's how you can say. Again, this one will be 1, 1, first row, first column. So now when we are fetching these values from here, so we need to have these locations basically. We need to write the logic for these locations that will give me the location. So we'll go to these locations one by one and take the values one by one. So once the values will be fetched, we can use it. So now, because there are multiple values, the first thing we will use for loop. And because it's more than one values, so here we are going to use data provider. So just below this, create a method with name as public void login data provider. And to make this method as a data provider method, now see when I'm changing it to data provider, so I need to change the return type as well. So when I'm changing it to data provider, I need to change the I need to change the return type as well. And the return type of data provider is array of string. That's the return type. So here it will not stay void. I have to change it to array of string. That means here the values that I will return will be in form of array of string. Cool. So I'll write string and its array is multi-dimensional array. So here the return type will be object of array. That means in object of string form. So the return type. So for data provider, you know, it's going to be return type in data provider is always objects of array. Now what I have to do? I have to write the logic. So to write logic, the first thing is we need to know what's the size of this Excel file, how many rows and how many columns are there. So already we have created a method to get the details of this. So here I'll take the class. What's the class name of the Excel file? So the class name is read Excel file, and I call the method from here that is get row count. Now when I say row count needs two things. First, the name of seat, that means this seat, this name, and again the name of the first we need a file name, and second the seat name. Seat name is login. So to take the file name, how we will get the file name? So to get the file name here in the beginning, we'll create a string file name, and here to read the file. So here you see in test data, already I have the Excel file which I'm referring to right now. This is already there in test data. So what I have to do here is, so here just I have to read this Excel file. So how to read this Excel file? It's very simple. So here first, let's read this location. This is the location. Inside test data, we have this Excel file. So just to read this file, how will you read this? To read this, just you have to write system dot get property. And inside get property, you have to write user dot dir. This will give you the directory location complete from here till here. Now after this, just do plus and add the rest location space. That is, name the file test data, give forward slash, and what's the file name? It's etest data dot xlsx. So this will take the base file first, then it will take the location of that particular file. Now here what you have to do in row count, now you can pass the file name. So it's asking for two values, first one file name and the second one as seed name, that I'll pass it as login. So just by passing these two details, I will get the row count, and same way I'll get the column count as well. So just do paste here, and this time it will give us the column, and here I have to call the method as, instead of get row count, is get column count. Great. Now the most important part of this code that we are going to cover is the logic part. Everyone has problem with this. So already I've explained what I'm trying to get here is the indexes, the location. So we need the row column and as well as the row index and the column index. So we will lead here two loops. First one will be for the row column. So I'll start it from 1 because the first one, that is the 0th index, is the name of that particular column, that is username password. So I'm just keeping that section. So I'll start with the first index. So I'll write for loop, and in the first index, first I'll say I less than the row count, whatever the row count is, and go I plus plus. Now if you see in this row count, and I say why I have done I less than row not equals to, because in row count, whatever the last row will be plus 1. That's how we go. Okay. Now second one, again write the for loop, write int j is equals to, so this will go from 0 because the column starts that way, and this will go till the last index, that's the column index, and I do j plus plus. Now this is the looping for row column, a row and column sections. So I'm taking the indexing. Now the values that we get, we need to store in double dimensional form. I name it as, I give double dimensional bracket, name it as data, and inside this data, I'll store the values that will come. The values from I and j column, whatever the values will come, I'll store it here. So in rows, basically the rows column starts with, if we talk about the rows column, the value of total number of rows, what is the row? So this will be the size. So I'm just defining the size of the array, that's -1, and column will define the size of our array. The size of array is defined. The indexing loop I have written. Now let me write the simple logic is the value that you receive, whatever the value you receive, that will go based on the indexing numbers. So indexing numbers will be I stats for 1. So I say I -1. This means if the value of I is 1, it will be at 0th index. So now this, what I'm writing, this I -1 and j, this is for the array. It's not for the Excel sheet. It's for the array that's storing the value. And here in this I minus 1 and j, I'm just passing the index. Now, in multi-dimensional array also the indexing form is also, the indexing is also important. And that will also be in form of row and column. So that indexing I'm passing over here. Now, again, I write read Excel file. And because the method get cell value is static, so just I pass the cell. Now, the first one will be the file name. Second one will be the sheet name. That is this. And here I'll pass the rows and columns in form of I and j value. So every time the I and j value comes, this will pass. And all these are inside loops. So this thing will continue till the loop works, till everything works fine. Now this value, this data, this one, it's storing the value in form of object of array. Now here I'll do return, and in return type, I'm going to write what? And return type, I'll straight away return this data. So this is an object of array. So this will give us the exact thing that we are looking for. Now here in this test annotation, just I have to write the keyword data provider is equals to the name of method. That's all. So just read, sorry, provider P will be in caps. Data provider and the name of method. Now, because you know that this particular method will return data, and the data that comes here will be in form of two values. One is username and the other one is password. So this method will achieve the username and password. Now let me create an object of this login pages. Alp is equals to new login pages. And here I have to pass driver because I'm extending the base class. So it's obvious that I can pass the driver value straight away. Now login pages, P is in small letters. I hope it's good now. Import this. Now using this LP, driver. Okay, change the visibility of driver here. Where is it? In base class, change the visibility to public. Right. Save it here. Go to login test. Everything is good. Now using this LP, call the method inside this, that is portal login. LP dot portal login. So pass the user, pass the password, both will go fine, and everything will store fine. So when you call this method, the username will pass, the password will pass, both will pass. Now just we need to see the complete process is working fine or not. So here what we have done, we have configured the Excel file. We are reading the data from the Excel file. We have stored it in this data that's object of array, and that we are passing it to this particular method. Now, because it's returning two values, so here in this method, we are passing these two values, the username and password. In the Excel sheet, we had these two values. So we are passing these two, the username and password. So we have two variables for here. Now, the variables that we are passing it to the portal login method. Now, it will come to this step, it will pass these values and it will execute. So let's run this and see how it works. So let's wait for this to execute. It's already there. Wait. You just see two test cases, one pass, one failure. It's like that. One test, one pass, it's two passes. Right now it gives both passes, but first time you see it takes two values. One is infotech.com, other one is the one that we pass it actually. So if you are not able to see this, I'll do it again for you. Now you see, you are able to pass the details and you are able to log in. Second time, the other one. So the next time you are not able to log in, the customer will, this email is not exist. The first one exists, so you are able to log in. Now, if you see the report here, it shows that both of them pass. Like this and the other one both passes here. So it should be like one pass, one failure. Now the thing is that because I have passed the credentials, what I'm passing, that's wrong. But the complete execution is correct. So that's why I get this thing. So here I can do a small changes is here I can write here I'll be writing a if condition, and in if condition I'll say the value in user that comes if it's equals values if it's equals to this. If it's equals to this and dot equals if this is equals to the password that is demo. If this is equals to this, then you can call this method and say assert dot assert true. Now you know assert true is a method in testng. So this is true. Now if this thing is not matching, then straight away say else assert dot assert equals no assert true will be a pass here as false. So it's obvious that second time the test case will fail. Now this is just a condition that I have applied. Now click on run as. Just check. Let me execute this thing again. And we can see this. Click this run as. And let's see how it's working. So it takes infotechsolution.com. So here, first time it opens, it clicks the login image. It takes the email address, the valid one. Fine. The second time, now here, because also I have not written the logout thing, so this process is not ending here. So one more thing what we have to do here is we have to add the logout process as well. So if you add the logout process, so it will execute fine. But still you see if you get the exact result, that's here, one pass, one failure. So the second one that you are not able to see on the screen is that's because we have not written the logout. So just you can here in this login page itself, you can write the code for logout. Just you'll write here for one method for logout. You can create one method for void logout. And you need to locate the elements for logout as well. So once you locate the elements, then you will be able to see the logout thing. So you can locate and write on your own. I'll just be writing this logout elements. I'll just be taking this logout elements from here and I'll just add it here. And then we can execute the complete process. So let's write the logout section as well. Now for logout, again, what you need to do is you need to go locate the element one by one and see how it executes. So here, now once you are logged in, enter the password, that is demo, click the sign in button. Now again, you have to locate this icon, take the XPath straight away and put it here. XPath is equals to, paste it here. And again, create log out image. Again, find by. Now this is for logout. Inspect this. XPath is equals to, sorry, this is the for the same one. Now this is for logout. Do right click, do inspect this. Sorry, go to copy XPath, paste it here, and this is for logout. Click. So let's write logout image dot click, and again logout click dot click. So now at this point here you need to write, after this asserts true and everything, here you can write lp dot logout, and now run the test case again. So click on this run as, and let's see the complete process executing. So here, first with the first email address, again it will log out from there, and next time it will go for the second one. That's all. Before executing this, we will do a small changes. This part, we'll put it outside here, and this part we will put once this is done. So the steps will be same. The executions will be done first. Then we will write the if condition. We will pass asserts equal true and then log out. So basically that will log out the process, and as well as it will generate the test report. So this one, while calling the portal login, call it outside the if condition. That's all. Now let's run this and see how it's executing. Is everything seen in proper way or not? The code is, nothing is wrong with the code. Just I'm trying to do I'm trying to structurize this thing, the execution process, how it looks. That's more important and nothing else. Now it's executed, and here you see how it's functioning. So first time it takes the username, the right password, login, log out. Second time it takes the wrong one, that is infotech one, and you're not able to log in. Now let's go and check the status. It says one pass, one failure, and here it's clearly mentioned that second one it's failed, the second one failed, the first one passed. So basically the complete process is executing fine. So that's how the complete process of this login using data provider works. This is how we execute. This is how the complete process is set up. So now I hope this is a long video, but lots of things to cover. And if I cover this in too short, then it would be like, somewhere the flow would break. So that's why I got with everything in one shot. That's all in this video. In next video, we will write more test cases, just seeing different scenarios. And then we will come to the reports section as well. So that's all in this video. Thank you and bye-bye.